tabernacles are part of a large tradition in the 19th century. So they're being built all over the United States. When you are a new settlement out in the West, just getting started, you need three things to be a community. You need a school, a place to learn, you need a post office or a city hall, and you need a church. They're meant to be places of gathering.
The tabernacle was built by the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints so that they would have a place to gather together for conferences. They needed a place that they could be all together to be able to hear from their leaders. And so that's why the tabernacle was constructed, was for that purpose.
Anything that your community wants can happen in a tabernacle. It's church on Sunday, but it might be bingo on a Friday night.
Socials and graduations.
A dance recital or a funeral or a devotional. They are designed to hold your town.
When they were building tabernacles at the time, the church would help pay for a lot of the tabernacles. But this tabernacle is special in that the people raised almost all of the money themselves.
The tabernacle in Rexburg was built entirely by local donations. They did not ask for any help from church headquarters.
They raised the money themselves, over $30,000, which is a huge amount back in 1911. They built it themselves. This is Rexburg's building.
So the approval process for this building was simple. The architect submitted the plans and it was approved.
The groundbreaking started in May of 1911. They had all the building materials actually outside the plot ready. So when they did the groundbreaking, they could immediately start construction.
The process of building a tabernacle changes depending on when you're going to build it. So in the 1860s, a tabernacle might take 20 or 30 years. By the time you get to the 20th century, we have all of this new amazing technology, like railroads and steel and electricity. And so tabernacles take relatively a short amount of time. So this tabernacle in Rexburg, from groundbreaking to dedication, was about 8 or 9 months. It was really quick.
They finished the tabernacle in December of 1911, and then they dedicated it the first weekend in January, so January 7th of 1912. In the construction of the tabernacle, they used stone that was cut from a quarry that was out in the Archer-Sundell area, which is about 15 miles from here. They would bring it over with a wagon with horses, and they would sculpt the rock once it got here.
When Ricks College decided to take down the Sporey building because the rock was crumbling, engineers that checked it out and said it was going to fall apart came down and checked out this rock and said it's good for another 100 years.
The community really pulled together, and among those people who helped do that was Robert Blazer, who is a Swiss immigrant. He helped build this building and many of the other buildings in Rexburg, and among those was just not the tabernacle, but also the courthouse and the Sporey building. Another Rexburg resident to help build the building was Christian Piper. He came here from Germany, and he was a stonemason who helped build the tabernacle. Once construction was completed here, he played a key role in the development and beautification of the tabernacle grounds, and he got other people involved and excited about beautifying this place. The tabernacle did have another building that was just like it, so kind of like its twin, and it no longer stands.
The church built about 120 tabernacles. There's not a lot of them left. Of the about 20 that are still standing, only about a dozen, about 12, are owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This tabernacle gives identity to Rexburg. And what's so interesting about this building then, it was designed by an architect named Otto Erlandsson, who was Swedish and lived in Payson, but designed a building in Idaho in an Italian and Spanish style. The architecture world changed dramatically in the early 20th century. You now have what we call a revival tradition. People are going to Europe in numbers that hadn't been seen before, and they're seeing 1,000 years of architectural history and the differences between countries. So you have these newly trained architects coming back to the United States and picking the bits they liked. And so you get this return to old styles, but mixed together in new ways. This tabernacle in Rexburg is really picking up on those ideas. Access to world design, access to new technology, and a mixing of styles. They had no problem mixing Italian architecture from the 17th century with Spanish architecture from the 15th. They thought it looked cool and trendy, but yet traditional.
The tabernacle was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1972 because the Historical Society wanted to make sure that the building was always protected.
What I think is really wonderful about many of these tabernacles is that they're built in the center of town. They're not built on the edge of town where you have to drive 20 minutes to get to it. It's in the center of town. So you can come to your meeting here and then you can walk across the street and have a business and all of those things. So it's really focusing community. The function of a tabernacle today, I don't think has changed much. There's still places of community, there's still places of gathering.
The tabernacle has always been a gathering place. That is, its purpose was to be a place to gather the people together. They had concerts here, they've had political speakers.
Well, during the political season, of course, a lot of the candidates came. From time to time, the governor or one of the state officials would come over because he had an announcement or was politicking or just wanted to visit the community. And then on 4th of July and 24th of July, there were pioneer celebrations and flag raisings on the steps. So it was used quite often.
I know for years the Messiah was performed here every year as a sing-along. That pieces that kind of bring again that sense of community that pull us together. I think that's why a lot of people have such a fond place in their heart for the building, because I bring my talent, somebody else brings theirs, and it's usually been in community service. That makes memories. The people who play in the orchestra, none of them are paid. They make memories. They come because they love music and they want to share their talents with the community. And this environment gives us a place to do that.
The organ was installed in the tabernacle around 1928, and with that addition, it brought in the dimension of music as a permanent fixture to the building and the space, and it expanded its value as a performance venue. The organ is an Austin organ and is one of the only functioning organs of its kind left in the country. Many musicians have practiced and performed here at the tabernacle. Among them was Ruth Barris, who is a nationally renowned organist, who later actually taught hundreds of Rexburg residents and other people how to play the organ here at the tabernacle. This led to generations of others learning how to play the organ and to inspire a love of music throughout Southeast Idaho. On June 5th, 1976, the Teton Dam burst and it sent 80 billion gallons of water into the surrounding areas. As it came into this building, it slammed against it, but all the water that would have went into it went into the basement.
The whole basement was flooded. You can see the line down there on the stairs that shows how high the water was, because the water was above the ceiling of the basement.
But because of that, the church was thinking about tearing down the building because it was still going to be a lot to repair it. But the city stepped in and they saved the building, and they were able to purchase the building through a grant, and so now it's owned by the city. To me, the tabernacle is a symbol of resilience and perseverance.
I think this tabernacle is still here at Rexburg because of what it means to this place. That people living 110 years ago donated, saved up their pennies to build this building.
It's seen so much. It's seen world wars, it's seen a flood, it's seen development around it, but it has stayed standing, and it has been a solid part of this community. Nobody in Rexburg can remember the building not being here.
They aren't just old buildings built by ancestors.
We hope that people will see the significance, feel that connection, and want to keep the building here forever.
That tabernacles are, for me, a real living witness of the power of place and the power of connection.